Blackwater, kablam-a-lam. Ooh, Blackwater, kablam-a-lam. The imps like a pipe, kablam-a-lam. That pie so wild, kablam-a-lam. He pulled that chain, kablam-a-lam. Wildfire did rain, kablam-a-lam. Ooh, Blackwater, kablam-a-lam. Ooh, Blackwater, kablam-a-lam.
Hello, and welcome to Vassals of Kingsgrave and part 30 of our epic linear A Song of Ice and Fire reread. Today we'll be going through the last few chapters of September 7th, 299, aka the Battle of the Blackwater. These chapters are Sansa 6, Tyrion 14, and Sansa 7, and they're all consecutive chapters in the published order of A Clash of Kings. My name is Casey, Blue-Eyed Queen from the forums, and today I am joined by Nymeria.
Hey, it's Nymeria on the forums, Mary in real life.
Monroe Jock 2.
Monroe Jock 2 on the forums, Nimble Dick in real life.
All right.
Nimble
Your
Dick.
parents named you that? I don't believe you.
Drownedsnow.
Hey, it's Adam.
White Raven.
Brett in real life.
Back by popular demand.
Yes, of course. Sir PatrickTheTall.
Greetings, mortals. It is I again, Patrick.
And Bina in a not-so-hosting role, which is kind of weird.
Hey, it's Bina 007 on the forums. I can't believe I was with Brett and Casey this time last week. It's kind of weird.
Oh my
Anyways.
god, yeah. That was so fun. And then lastly we have IronRuhail.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ruhail on the forums, Ruhail in real life.
Awesome.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here too. We've seen you on the forums for quite a while now. So the typical first time on the reread questions. How did you get into the books and show and podcasts, forums, and such?
Well, I just picked the books up from the library because I hadn't read anything for a while, and I was going through them and then thought, oh, these are not what I've read before, and I quite like these. And I watched the show afterwards. So I'm kind of a book purist, annoying guy. But and I'd say some of my favorite characters are Arya, Stannis, obviously, if you've seen me on the forums, Davos, Jaime, Jon. You know, like a good mixture of different characters, because that's what I love about these books. The world's so broad, and you can like two characters that are on opposite sides, but you still find compelling things about both of them, even though they could come into conflict and one could kill the other.
Good point.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And then how did you find A Podcast of Ice and Fire forums?
Well, I found Duncan's channel, and then I saw that he'd done a few videos with you guys, and I'd clicked on them. And you just started the linear reread at that time, which was almost a year ago. I thought, oh, this is nice. But I'll start following you. And I joined the forums when you kept saying where you're from.
Awesome. No, that's cool. Has many people found us through Duncan, or does anybody know? Or
That's the first one I've heard of.
yeah, same.
Are you kind of upset, Patrick, that he didn't come to the forums because of you?
Well, as I said before, Duncan is my only real competition, so in my opinion. So
I don't think the girls of Vok think there's any real competition there.
No, not in the
Yeah.
voice section, but he is very professional in his way and stuff like that. So that's why I admire him for that
Would
as
you
well.
say he's your role model?
Yes.
No, I wouldn't say that. But I admire him nonetheless.
I wouldn't say that at all.
Ruhail, have you done a reread before?
No, I was meaning to do one, and then I got other books, and I never got around to doing a proper reread. But I'll do it sometime.
Yeah. Well, you're doing this one.
Sometime is here.
So last week's episode ended with Tyrion leading troops in the battle, and we pick up with Sansa 6 in the Queen's ballroom. And Bina, you were so nice to take that chapter.
Yeah, sadly, it's not very funny because I only write these as sort of background notes rather than to read. But anyways.
I mean, I asked you like a couple hours ago. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay, but I'm a huge Sansa fan, so that's all good. So Sansa 6. All the aristocratic ladies are in the Queen's ballroom eating supper and being entertained bizarrely by jugglers, clowns and Moonboy. But the atmosphere is heavy with fear. The Kettle Blacks keep Cersei up to date with accurate reports of the battle, except for embellishing Joffrey's role. Cersei reveals that she resents having to sit with these crying women rather than be fighting the battle herself. She tells Cersei how when she was a kid, she and Jaime would actually switch clothes, and how much she resents the fact that while he was to inherit Casterly Rock, she was to be sold into marriage to a brute who'd swap her for a younger bride in time. We get a real sense of her anger and resentment of her place in society as a woman. Cersei also tells Sansa that if Tyrion is commanding the Lannisters, they'll surely lose the battle. She tells Sansa that if Stannis leads the way into the Holdfast, then Cersei will be able to surrender to him, giving them a chance at life. But if he's not in the vanguard, they'll probably just be raped and tortured before he gets there. Men might respect rank, but in the adrenaline of battle, they will lose that distinction. Cersei also reveals that she would try to seduce Stannis, but that he's too honourable to fall for it. This is why she's brought in Sir Ilyn. If there's no other option, he will kill them both. End scene.
Awesome. Thanks, Bina. We'll start with my note first. With Sansa, since we can go into all the Cersei stuff. Sansa at one point thinks, if I'm ever queen, I'll make them love me. And I kind of thought, like, to the future a little bit. Do we think that this is possible? And do we think that she'll become queen at one point? And I kind of think she will at some point become some point in power. Maybe not Sansa, maybe it'll be Elaine. But what do you guys think?
I think it depends on how much influence Littlefinger has on her in the future.
True.
I don't think she'll be queen. I think that was the whole point of her character in the first book, that she always thought she wanted it, but it's not something that she'll get to because of kind of the things you have to do while you're there.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably right about that.
I think we see the difference between the upbringing of the two. Like, Tywin was obviously Cersei's only role model, and we see that he always ruled by fear, so she thinks she has to rule by fear. Whereas Sansa, who had Ned, and they always had, make your people love you, which clearly the Northerners did love the Ned, as they call him. They are willing to back him even after he's dead, whereas Tywin, I feel like when he dies, all loyalty to the Lannisters is over.
True.
Yeah.
I do think Sansa's going to rule in some way. If not the Iron Throne, then in some intermediate stage. But I just feel that from what we know so far in the books, she's a long way from how she was here, and she's learning from people like Littlefinger. And even though I think she'd aspire to rule by love, I think she's like a real canny political operator. So she's not gone to the point that Cersei is at, which is sort of real resentment and revenge. But I don't think she's going to be the sweet romantic lady who's going to, kind of like Renly. I don't think she wants to rule like Renly, which is just to have the facade of high romance. I think she will have a lot more to her, a lot more substance.
I don't know. I kind of disagree. I would say, just from what we've already experienced with her, like, she hasn't really gone to a place yet where she's not able to be demure and sweet and thereby convincing people that she needs protection, or that
I don't think that's true, because I think when you see her as LA, she is able to use sort of bawdy, sort of seductive humor, and sort of use her womanhood kind of in a softer way of what Cersei's doing here. So I feel in the books we've kind of at the very start of seeing that change, but I feel it's fairly clear how George is mapping that out. But you're right. I mean, I guess the jury's a little bit outright as far as the canon is concerned. But I feel we're heading that way. Otherwise, what's the point of a character arc if she ends up just as naive as she is here?
No, I don't think she's naive. I just don't think she changes the general personality of herself. I just don't think. I know that she's not going to be naive. She's probably going to be very conscious about her choice to be this very ladylike person in court and stuff like that. But I don't think she's specifically going away from that and being a hardcore tactician, like, with her personality traits outwards, if you understand what I'm saying.
I think that she's a bit of a talker now. I think that she's, especially in Feast for Crows, starting to find her voice and to know what she can do and what she can't do, and essentially play the game as Littlefinger is teaching her to. I think the difference from here in this chapter and from later on is that I think that she still kind of wants to be in that position of power, and later on I don't think that she'll love being queen. She might possibly be able to make people love her because she can use her words rather than actions, as a lot of the kings tend to do. But yeah, I hope we see her as queen at some point, even if she doesn't like it, because I love Sansa.
Marie, are you a Sansa fan?
Yes, I am, definitely.
And what sort of queen do you think she'll make, or not at all?
I quite agree with you that she's evolving a lot, and she's learning, so she might also learn from her own experience that it didn't work so well for her father. So it might actually change her more than we have seen up to now, but she'll definitely not be the same kind of queen that Cersei is. I also agree with Casey that she won't like it very much because it's not all the romance and fairy tale she imagined it to be, and so she won't like it as much as she thinks she will. But yeah.
Yeah, good points.
Do you guys think that Sansa would have become more like Cersei had she been forced to marry Joffrey?
Definitely.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Like more like her, but not actually like her in the end.
I don't think she would have been as strong necessarily, because I do think it would have been tortured out of her. Whereas I don't think Robert necessarily tortured Cersei, but he definitely was violent toward her. So,
But if you look at Cersei at a young age and the way she treats Tyrion, and like she already had
or everyone around her.
tendencies growing up. Yeah. So I mean,
Already
Sansa
had a
might
superiority.
necessity become harder, but she wouldn't become that hard.
Right, Sansa never pushed a little girl down a well.
It's a good point, Ruhail. Because I think when you read the first book, Game of Thrones, you do sort of think of Cersei, perhaps, or I did, I think, the first time I read it, as a victim of marital abuse, and therefore somehow I had some sympathy with her. And you just think maybe she's been turned into this sort of bitter, vengeful woman by that. But when you go through Clash and you realise what she was like as a child, and even more so Feast for Crows, actually, you start realising that this is a genuine sort of character trait that's been there all the time and maybe exacerbated, but, you know, she's never had a moment of sweetness in the way that Sansa did.
Correct me if I'm wrong. In this book, she was the one who ordered the death of Robert's bastards, wasn't she?
Absolutely.
So I don't think Sansa would ever go that far.
But we don't know. I mean, who knows what we're going to see Sansa do? But I like to think you're right, Ruhail, and we won't see her do that.
I don't know. I mean, I think that a lot of people can be forced to do a lot of things, and at least end up doing stuff that they don't look like they will ever be able to do. And I think that a lot of the situations that inform Cersei's character hasn't happened to Sansa before. Like now she's getting more, she got more of these tragedies in her life. It's like Cersei did, like her mother dying and her being able to pin it on a person, or Tyrion for that, to be more specific.
But, you know, we've so far in the books we've seen her lose her mother and father and endure some really horrific stuff, and we enter her mind, right, because we have POV chapters, and she's never like the resentment and vengefulness that Cersei displays in this chapter openly to Sansa, let alone in her private thoughts, is never somewhere we see Sansa go. We never see her into that darkness in the way that Arya does, for instance.
In the next chapter, you get her helping Lancel, even though she's thinking to herself, I shouldn't be helping him, I should be killing him, but I just can't. So it shows that she still does have compassion that Cersei just does not have.
No, but I'm just saying, if the situation was, if Sansa ended up marrying
Tyrion?
Joffrey, she would have a really, really, like, that would be the same as torture, essentially. She would at least experience torture from Joffrey, right?
Sorry to jump. I think she might go a bit more like Lysa over Cersei, like all the years of resentment and being forced to marry someone you don't want to marry all those years and having to bear his children.
But I don't think Jon ever was violent towards Lysa. I
don't think he was, but she really didn't want to marry him or enjoy being his wife at all. Like, she really thought of him as some disgusting old guy, as she said, he smelled awful or something.
Well, I mean, he was like old enough to be her grandfather, right?
Yeah.
At least old enough to be her father.
Patrick, I see what you're saying and everything, but at the same time, I don't think someone being more torturous to you makes you an evil person necessarily. And in Sansa's case, I think that she's dealt with adversity through being more quiet and thoughtful and taking everything in on herself.
I just see more like personality is more like a
nurture
ceramic cup. It gets different moments of trauma will give this cup cracks, And if the cup never experienced cracks, then the first crack will still probably make the cup hold. But in Cersei's case, she's been experiencing traumatic or at least extreme situations from very early on, and hasn't had the same love as...
Yeah, but like, you know, at the point when she's like twisting her little brother's dick off in the cradle, I mean, what traumatic experiences happened to her?
She lost her mother.
Yeah, I don't know. And put that against, I mean, admittedly older Sansa losing her father being beheaded. I mean, I just think there's a category difference in their reactions to that.
Well, she lost her mother, and all she had left was this cold father who really, love wasn't really a thing for him. It was more a respect thing. So she deems him to be the right way to do things, and clearly she follows after him, at least in her history.
Yeah, true.
I think it's more of a... I don't think she was crazy to begin with. I think it's a culmination of her experiences. Like the final cracks being the death of her father and stuff like that actually make the cup leaky, if you might say that, like, if you want to use my analogy again. So I think it's that she's just experienced more, and she's not a inherently crazy person. I think she just ended up like that.
She's definitely a poor sport and a bad loser. I mean, you see her right here saying she's going to kill Sansa. The Starks won't benefit from the fall of the Lannisters, even though I don't know what the Starks have really done to the Lannisters. I mean, the Lannisters they all but killed Bran. They killed Ned. They're going to kill her mother. Arya, they pretty much assume is dead. And yet Cersei still has some kind of like hatred for the Starks in general. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
So I think it's more the Lyanna and Robert always going on about her and having to hear her all the time. It's probably what made her hate the Starks, I think.
Oh, that could be.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think
if you're shagging your husband and he's screaming out drunkenly the name of a Stark woman, that would piss me off anyway.
You start murdering people.
Try it. I'd murder people for calling me Sabrina, let alone screaming out someone else's name in bed.
Good to know.
Oh, you'd know it. If you called me Sabrina in real life, you'd know.
Yeah, there was one guy that came to the moot that tried it, and he's not with us anymore. Sad.
We do not speak of that situation.
Brett, it's undocumented. I didn't put him any of the pictures of Instagram. No one knows he came. Stop blowing my cover.
Wait, what?
Nothing. It was just a strange addition to a dumpster in Boston.
Not the first time and not the last.
All right, so I think that we're pretty not going to sway on that opinion on either side. So let's move on to other points. Our thoughts on the twins being treated differently, Cersei and Jaime, and how that went into who she is today, which I guess we were kind of talking about already a little bit. It's interesting how they were able to switch up and just be treated exactly the same as they were before. And I think that, the only difference between Cersei and Jaime is really that she's a woman and he's a man. So it's interesting.
Do you think that's what is part of what's made her so bitter in her life? And like the fact that she wasn't a man and she couldn't be a man, that's what made her so cold, or make her feel like she had to be so cold?
I think that's definitely been part of it.
Right.
If not all of it.
Yeah, resentment definitely plays into it in that situation. But yeah, as soon as she started puberty, it was quite obvious that she's not the same after that. She's not the same as Jaime after that, because like normal thing for men is like they grow more muscle tone and stuff like that, and women, do other stuff. So
that's a Brienne.
But she's the exception to the rule, right? So in that situation, she wouldn't right now, or when Jaime and her was in their prime, they would still be very different. Like in their
first of all, Jaime's still in his prime. Let's get that.
Minus a hand.
Yeah,
I think the Brienne comparison's a really good one though, because Brienne's dad did keep trying to marry her off and stuff though, so she wasn't completely exempt from all the pressures of being put into that sort of societal role. And Brienne manages, despite all the threats that she's had, to remain actually pretty good-hearted.
But had her father been Tywin, how do you think that would have gone?
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been just a clusterfuck, right?
Yeah.
Plus,
good.
Yeah, I'm just going to focus on the main fact that her father probably didn't murder a whole house just to get people in line.
Again, that goes back to rule by fear, and that's all Cersei knows.
Yeah.
You think Tywin even spent that much time with his children, or were they more like a trophy of achievement for him? Like, look, I have golden twins, like we see throughout the story with some of these other lords.
I don't know. I mean, I guess Jaime would have been closer to Tywin just because, well, while Jaime was still young, he was destined to be the Lord of Casterly Rock, right? So,
what if the roles were reversed? Like, what if Cersei had been a boy and Jaime had been a girl? Do you think it would have still turned out the same exact way, or what do you think Cersei would have been like as a man? Do you think she still would have been cold and bitter and mean, or do you think she would have been just like Jaime was?
I do think that Cersei is a bit more self-involved than Jaime is, and I don't think that's specifically a character trait that's a product of all the bad things she's experienced. I think that's just part of her character. So I think that the whole losing the hand and getting a redemption from that would not have happened with Cersei. I don't think she would have redeemed herself after that. That's my only thing.
I think that if they were swapped, like Cersei was a guy and Jaime was a girl, I think that because of their personalities, they are slightly different. Jaime is a bit more like, I don't really care if I'm king or queen, I'm just doing my thing, and I really love Cersei a lot. And then Cersei's like, I want to rule the world. And if she was a man, she probably could. So I feel like...
Or she would...
At least attempt to.
You think she would try to be king, you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I guess, like, maybe without all the suppression, oppression that she's dealt with in her female life, maybe it would be a little bit different if she was a guy. But I feel like if she has the same personality she does now, then I think that she would be able to make more moves in the Game of Thrones, if you will.
Do you think if they were both girls that she would be so jealous? Or do you think it would have been different? Because she wouldn't have had herself to compare to Jaime.
That's an interesting thought.
And would they still have fallen in love?
Hell yes.
Yeah, because I think there's something sort of narcissistic in that, right?
Yeah.
So
But I just planted a thought in White Raven's mind. So that was my only mission, really.
Twins, Basil, twins. Do you think Jaime would have been a better queen?
Maybe. He's not really into it, is he? Pre-losing his hand. He's not into anything.
But he was never really into ruling, so perhaps... Yeah. I wonder if Jaime, had he been female, if he had been more caring and more loving rather than... He's kind of just like, all I care about is Cersei, and he genuinely does love her, where I don't know as if Cersei really genuinely loves Jaime, at least not to the same extent.
Totally with you.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
But I think he's more brazenly defined. Like, that's his character trait, right? And that's something that kind of makes him a good fighter as well. That he kind of just jumps into it without any concern of himself. So I think in that situation, if he ended up marrying someone like Robert, I don't think he would have lasted as long as Cersei did. Because she's more like a resentful, defiant, right?
Or she bottles it up and it's like, I'll get you back, you fucking ass. Just watch. I'll get you back 3 times in 3 big ways.
Exactly. And I think Jamelina would just have tried to.
Jamie's a girl's name too.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, why don't you think if girls
but I wouldn't. You wouldn't have gotten my point if I just said Jaime.
Okay.
So that's why I used to like that. I know that Jaime is also a female name. Okay.
Sorry, I'm just being rude. I'm sorry.
Yes, you are. It's good of you that you actually notice yourself. But to get back to the point, I think that she would just try to kick his ass at some point, or bite off his stick or something like that. I'm saying that it's just she would have just done something without thinking completely through, and probably ended up in under Cersei's blade. From how Jaime has been acting up until he got his hand chopped off, that's what I think.
Anybody else have any thoughts? Jock, Jock, do you have any thoughts on this?
I don't really think Cersei would be able to fight if she was like Jaime, because she could have been up on the walls with Tyrion and Joffrey, like have done a speech or just wandered around in armor.
I think she did. She would rather fight. She says, "I'd rather face any number of swords than sit helpless with this
I think there's a
group of
specific
frightened
quote
hens."
in that.
Would she have Jaime's appreciation and admiration of like knighthood before the Aerys thing and the King's Guard itself? Like he viewed them as his idols and he'd wanted to be like them. Do you think Cersei would want to be like that?
No, I just think she just wants what Jaime's. I think she just resents. It's not that she positively wants to do all this stuff. It's just that she resents the constraint. It's like, I may not want to do certain things in life, but I'll get really angry if you take away my right to do them. I think that's what it is more for her. It's not like Brienne, where she has this positive drive to be a knight and society won't let her do it. But I do think at some basic level, a bit like Tywin, she does just want power, but not necessarily military finesse, so to say.
Wants power, but doesn't know how to use it.
She thinks she knows how to use it, which is even worse.
Her problem
right?
She uses it for the sake of it being there.
In fact, the tragedy of Cersei is she resents everyone for thinking she can only play a woman's role. But when she has the opportunity to exercise power, the only way in which she chooses to exercise it so far is by using her femininity. In other words, by trying to seduce people. So it's kind of ironic that she tries to escape. She's saying that she's trying to escape the kind of the female box, but she just keeps putting herself back in that by using
her female box.
Yeah, by using her female box. There you have the title for the episode. Thank you very much.
And she's so petty whenever she makes any kind of rulings. Everything is just like very spiteful. I very rarely see her make a ruling that I'm like, oh yeah, I can see why you'd do that. Everything seems to be petty and spiteful and to like for her own personal purposes, not
very short-sighted. Yeah,
she's both the most passionate advocate for feminism in this book and yet its worst proponent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
she's the reason why people shouldn't. Or she's at least the reason for the men around her. The reason why women shouldn't have a lot of power, because she really doesn't handle it well.
Yeah, but then you could say because of Mad King Aerys, men shouldn't have power, right? So that's like a bollocks argument.
No. But I'm saying in the misogynistic view, yeah, from the misogynist view, she would be like a hard vote for not doing it.
Well, I think at this point people don't really know, do they? It's kind of strange to me.
Right, they blame everything on Tyrion.
It's kind of strange to me in this chapter how she's telling Sansa everything. I mean, I know she thinks there's a 50-50 chance she's going to end up dead, but still. And she's drunk, I guess. Maybe that explains it. It's just very odd. I mean, Sansa in these 3 chapters, from Cersei, and then, she just, people tend to tell her stuff. It's weird. She has this kind of strange POV structure.
No, it's the same idea with Peter Baelish. She's not very scary. She's not very. People don't feel threatened by her, so they end up talking to her when they shouldn't, because they don't feel like there's going to be any consequence to it.
She's like the James Bond of these books. People reveal their dastardly plans.
Yeah, maybe that. But then again, James Bond is still threatening to the villains. I'm thinking that
Sansa will be eventually.
Maybe not. We don't know. But the thing that we do know is that essentially that's the same game that Peter is playing. He's playing the guy who's not threatening at all and trying to underplay his own power, so that people will tend to let him get away with more stuff because they can't visualize him being a threat because he's so low in standing. And she right now, Sansa is also just like a prisoner.
So many political comparisons now, but I won't make them. Moving on.
Yeah.
Do you guys think Cersei knew about Renly's plan to marry Robert to Lyanna? To Marjorie?
Marjorie.
Because she said to be cast aside for another filly later on. Don't
we know that she does? I mean, isn't there in one of these chapters where it is revealed? Or maybe it's revealed to us, but not to her necessarily.
I think it's revealed to us. Because, like, Renly goes up and says, like, hey, Ned, don't you think this looks like your sister? He's like, no, it doesn't. But we get the idea of that. But you don't think that Cersei... I know that they didn't have a choice whether or not to let Marjorie marry Joff, but, right, like, I feel like Cersei would have put up more of a fight than she actually even does. because like if she knew that Renly's plan was to marry her off or marry Marjorie to her king, and then she married Renly, and now she's going to marry her kid, it's like I understand how Tywin could let it happen because they needed the Tyrells, but I'm still surprised it actually happened.
Maybe she already knew, or at least had an idea that was happening, and that's essentially the whole getting Robert drunk on the boar hunt scheme was about. Or actually, several times she tried to trick Robert into getting himself killed. So there must have been some sort of plan to stop that from happening.
Does she need the proximate cause of him remarrying? Doesn't she just want him out of the way because by this point Joffrey's getting old enough that she can rule as regent through him?
Maybe that's it, but maybe I'm just saying, why is she starting to try to kill him now, specifically? Ned.
Yeah, poking around.
Maybe.
I've got one more thing on this chapter.
Okay.
They said the serving ladies say Sir Osmond is as strong as the Hound, but younger and faster. Bullshit. Let's see that.
The Hound would stomp him into next Tuesday.
This is the Hound. Isn't the Hound just viciously brutish? I mean, I don't know.
No, he's actually quite fast.
Jamie even says he's faster than he should be.
He was effortlessly blocking all of Gregor's swings in book 1 like he wasn't anything. He could have gone faster if he wanted.
Yeah, he's definitely a combination of fast and strong. But if he's super fast or what? That's the question. But I think the combination of fast. But I think the combination of fast and strong, the way he matches up with Gregor, for example, as you just mentioned, I think that's essentially what's going to give him the edge. That he's whenever he's making hitting Osmond, it's gonna go through.
Right, we're talking about Sir Osmond Kettleblack here. We don't even know about this guy. He just basically buckles, right? Later on,
he'd probably just poop his breeches and run.
No,
but we were just assuming that Osmond is at least proficient, and I mean, if that's the case, the only person we actually know about his sword skills is the Hound, so we can actually just have to assume that the Hound, from what we know, would be definitely better with the combination of his strength and his speed. I mean, sometimes you could be overwhelmed if someone is much faster than yourself or whatever, but I think that the Hound has the combination that would save him from fast opponents, but has the strength to overpower someone like Osmond, right?
According to the serving wenches, he's just as strong and younger and faster.
No one spits like Gaston.
Oh, that's yeah.
Where's the podcast bard when we need him?
So we can all agree that shit wouldn't be happening if they faced off. Okay, good. Moving on.
All right, let's move on to Tyrion 14. And this chapter just follows directly after Sansa 6 in the book. And I think it's time-wise, I think they're either overlapping or directly after. So, yeah, I think Monroe Jock, you have that chapter?
Hello.
Monroe Jock. Or Jock. I think his internet connection isn't great, so he might be behind.
It's like Jeffrey, just...
Yeah, you want to do it, Ruhail?
Yeah.
Alright, so the chapter begins with Tyrion riding into battle with Samandin Moore and Pod. They fight off attackers at the King's Gate and head to the Mud's Gate. They kill a Florent, and he notes that he's helmetless. And once there, Tyrion truly understands why the Hound was so afraid of the all-encompassing fire, and we get a really vivid description of Tyrion's first experience of battle fever, and now he can understand what Jaime experiences. Tyrion realizes with horror that all the wrecked ships are so close together that Stannis' men are using them as a bridge to get ashore, and he gets onto the boats and fights with them and is thrown into the water when decking the breaks. He notices fighting on the south bank and doesn't understand where the men have come from. So Mandin reaches out to help Tyrion back on the deck, but Tyrion notices that he's offering his left hand and something's amiss. He pulls back, but Sir Mandin slashes him across the face, but Superpod is there to save him rather than Jaime.
Good job.
That was good.
Yeah. First time on a podcast and first time doing chapter readings. Good job.
So, does Tyrion need a fucking special saddle or not?
Well, I mean, he just prefers it.
Well, I didn't hear him say,
Everybody needs their
special saddle my horse. I never heard that. I mean, I know.
Why would he do that?
Why would his saddle
Do
even
you
be
think it's
there?
understood? Do you think people know?
Yeah, you can grab the Tyrion. Just grab the Tyrion saddle.
Okay, I just have to
Probably
say, I
just-
assume that Tyrion brought his special saddle with him down to the horse. I don't think he walked all the way down from the Red Keep. I think he rode. So he probably has had his horse with the special saddle with him.
So you think he rode a war horse down from the Red Keep?
Well, he had his
No,
special saddle with him at least, so that could have been changed.
Yeah,
over
in the
to war.
books, they can afford horses, so probably.
Yes. I just don't feel like Tyrion would do this well. I kind of feel like it's George being like, see, people that you don't expect to be good can be. And it's like he's killing people and stuff, and I'm just like, no fucking way.
Dude, he already did that in the mountains of the Vale.
I didn't say I believed it there either.
Well, yeah, I think you're just in denial, bro.
I am in denial. He's got short little stubby arms, and he's like swinging down and cutting off people's hands and shit. I just don't see it.
Nah.
But the Ewoks were good in battle.
Were they though?
You're just provoking us now, I think, Bina.
No, I completely
Well,
I agree with Brett. He's a bit of a sort of like a Mary Sue, isn't he? Like suddenly this like stunted dwarf who basically has pains in his legs is like swinging into battle. And then even that little Agatha Christie thing where he's like, "Oh, Sir Mandor Moore's lifting me out of the water with his left hand. Something's amiss. It's bollocks." If you're drowning in the midst of a war with all shit going down around you, you're just thinking, "Thank God someone's saving me." You're not pausing to think, "Oh no, it's the left hand." It's just nonsense.
Guess that's what happens when you're George Martin's favourite character.
Right?
Right.
Tyrion Sue.
Speaking of the White Cloaks, though, they're fucking awesome. They were just like killing everybody. And Balon Swan uses a mace? I didn't even realize that. That makes him better to me. I don't know why.
Because he's different.
I guess. They were like saying I had like brain all over him. I was like, oh man, he's just killing people.
Actually, with the left hand, I would actually assume that he would use his left hand, because if somebody came through the boat and tried to attack Mandor Moore, I would probably appreciate that I had my sword in hand. So that's not really a point. I think that it wouldn't be any problem for me if he gave me his left hand, because I would assume that he was defending himself, right?
I wouldn't think much of it either way. I'd be like, yeah, get me the fuck out of this water. I don't care what's reaching at me.
But you're right, Patrick. In a time of battle, the only thing your right hand should be holding is your sword at every point, right?
Well, unless it's no longer attached to your body.
Yeah.
That one dude that yielded up his gauntlet with his hand still in it. Like, what move do I have left? I give up. Here's my hand.
Is there any particular reason why he finds the helmetless soldier strange? Like the one that gets his head smashed in? The Florent, is there any reason why he highlighted that?
Probably
I think
because he
just-
knows Nadia in real life and she hasn't been telling us.
I think he just likes to give a lot of description. I think that's the only reason why.
Yeah.
All right, so along those lines a little bit with Tyrion, anyways, when I was reading this chapter, I felt that the whole battle fever description, it really is like a huge run-on sentence, but it's really poetic and at the same time awful. But I think that George has such a way with making things sound really good even when they're the worst.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah, for sure. And we actually said something about that last time, if you remember, Patrick, about the Davos chapter and how well and poetically it was written, and that's why we were so much into it. And it's kind of the same here. It's really poetic and awful at the same time. But
yeah, there was a point I made, wasn't it?
That's the only reason why he'd remember it.
Wow.
I said we, but yes, probably.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, obviously.
I mean, none of us would know because it's not out yet, right?
Well, it's gonna be out soon.
Get on that.
If only your editing speed lived up to your boasting, it would be amazing.
Yeah.
It's gonna be huge. It's gonna be tremendous.
Oh my god.
And arrive 10 minutes too late.
Yeah, he's posting it right now, so we can all go stop and listen, and then come back.
All right, and then the other note that I have here about this is, so when you guys first saw this, either by show or read it in the books, how did you think that this would turn out?
I didn't bloody think he'd lose half of his nose, that's for sure. I actually thought Tyrion could become a prisoner of war with Stannis, because they're in the middle of the beach, aren't they? Or wherever they are near the ships. He could have been dragged up.
It would have been nice if Tyrion did end up with Stannis. I think that would have been a fun back and forth. Although I don't know if Stannis would have patience for it. I do think so. I think Tyrion would have... Stannis values intelligence, and I do think Tyrion is intelligent.
I think he's a bit crass for Stannis, isn't he?
I think it'd be...
No, the guy's a Hart.
Yeah, I think it would be more like a... If it was anything, it would be more like a 24 hours kind of thing, Nick Nolte sort of a dynamic, hating each other, but it's essentially one has to be the silent man or the straight faced, and the other one has to be like the jokey one, right?
And they could still hang together.
I get that Stannis would not like Tyrion. I would like to see them together at some point, maybe. I think it'd be interesting.
All right, Adam, you didn't say what your reaction was when you were watching or reading this for the first time.
I didn't?
No.
I don't know. I read through this so quickly the first time. I didn't stop to react until I got to the end of the book. I think at this point I was just going through it so fast. I don't really remember. I remember kind of my reaction as a whole when I finished the book, but I don't remember the specific.
That's cool. Who else hasn't said anything about this yet? Nymeria, have you? What are your thoughts?
I don't remember how I felt when I read it the first time, but I had a thought about this chapter. Is that I really felt for Tyrion because he finally feels like he's part of something. He's fighting with the two King's Guards and everything, and he feels like he's part of the team. And then someone tries to kill him, and right after that, it's his father is coming back and everything. And I mean, he was finally followed by people and doing something, and I don't know. It was a big disenchantment for him.
They're even rooting for him. Half man.
I do remember being a little confused as to what was going on. Now that I think about it, as to wait, who is Sir Mandon again? I was going through the book so fast. I was like, all right, I got to find out what was he doing? What's going on?
There's a lot of characters in this chapter that they mention, and even some of your discussions about earlier. I was like, oh yeah, those characters are here. I forgot about them. But I don't think in my perspective, I watched the show first, and I don't think that there would have been... I remember watching, and I don't remember thinking that there would be any other outcome than Tyrion at least kind of winning. Although, essentially, from here on out, it's all downhill for Tyrion, right?
Well,
sadly.
I don't know. Yeah.
Adam,
Isn't
you
that
first.
kind of a low point, though? Being forced to marry someone?
Yeah, I'd agree.
Because he feels like he is part of something, like you were saying, but it's not just that. It's that he's been good at a lot of things, but he's actually found he's good at this, being the hand and doing this. He's actually kind of good when they listen to him, and it all gets ripped away from him.
Okay.
There are no stupid questions. That's why.
Remind me.
What's the motivation for Mandon to betray Tyrion? I'm having a bit of a brain fart.
There's gold in the village, I think. I think it's just...
I don't know.
I assume Cersei or Littlefinger paid him off.
Yeah, because we don't ever explicitly get what went how, but it seems that either there was some sort of status or a threat, or it was going to work out better for him to just get rid of him and no one would care. I think was the idea.
Okay, thanks.
Crooked Kingsguard.
Mandon Moore. I don't particularly remember anything about him after this, to be honest.
Oh, the good news is, as usual,
Yeah.
there's a big fat Reddit thread on this that I'm now going to proceed to read while on mute. Laters.
Okay.
We'll check back in with Bina later.
Your answer was not sufficient. I will leave you now for the Reddit, right? That's essentially what you were saying.
Basically, yes.
Okay.
But I was wondering the same thing, so I'll be reading the Reddit thing at some point too.
Yeah, me too.
Not now, obviously.
Because you take this seriously, unlike others.
Yeah. That would be rude.
We think they're above
The joys
law.
of not being a host, I can just drop out and read shit,
Yeah.
Oh, so that's how you're going to do it. Okay, we'll know how to act when it's your turn again.
Who says you're going to be on when it's my turn, Patrick?
Ooh.
I do.
Ooh.
Exercising power in a certain type manner of revenge and petty.
All right. You haven't actually asked me yet,
Oh, no, I didn't. I'm sorry.
but Heck yeah. Fuck yeah, pod. Cool. So
I think it's strange that he just followed Mandan up with Tyrion, was just there at the right point.
But isn't he Tyrion's valet, essentially? But I think he's like after everything.
I thought Tywin did it to get him out of the way.
Yeah.
And now Pod genuinely cares about Tyrion, I think.
Yeah, I just assume that for this little bumbling boy who doesn't have was not very good at either talking or anything, I don't think he really is playing the Game of Thrones. So I just assume that he was there for genuine reasons. And still, as later on, when he's following Brienne, same thing. He's there for genuine reasons.
This article's amazing, though. Can we put a link to this Reddit article in the episode post so people can read it?
Yes.
It doesn't really give an answer, but it gives like the theories. It's actually like strangely ambiguous.
As are many Reddit articles.
No. The article's really good, but who killed him is ambiguous.
No, that's what I mean. Like they're very good.
Yeah.
People have so much time. Saves me time.
Sorry, Jock.
Well, if Reddit was doing this, then they'd end up teaching us that the Battle of the Blackwater didn't take place on the Blackwater, wasn't a battle, and make us suspicious of the words vet and of.
Does that have something to do with wildfire not being able to burn steel beams? Is that where we're going with this?
Yeah, Dragonfire can't burn stone walls either.
Are you sure?
Yeah, Harrenhal was an inside job.
The dragon literally stuck his head.
Do you want to make your own count of crackpot theories, Ruhail? Because you can start now. Then
Stannis brought the wildfire. Okay. Was with him the whole time. You can tell if you look at the photos.
Yeah, the seventh galley, the way it exploded shouldn't explode that way. It's definitely an inside job.
Yeah, Davos' ship should have never exploded.
Wildfire can't melt Stannis. Stannis melts wildfire.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so true. Stannis is Chuck Norris.
There should be like a Stannis facts website.
It's probably a meme site.
All right, so let's move on to Sansa 7 before Bina has to head out, so we can get some sand talk in here.
Ooh.
Yes. So we move to Sansa 7, which is right after Tyrion 14 in the book, and this is where Sir Lancel brings Cersei up to speed. Sansa meets a Hound, and the battle is won thanks to Tywin's reinforcements. So, Nymeria, I think that you have this chapter.
Yes, I do. So I hope it's not too long, and I'm sorry for the mispronunciation and accent and everything.
Oh no, you're doing.
Oh
you're
my
great.
God,
your
accent's charming.
Yeah.
And,
well, no, never be sorry for your accent.
Okay, thank you. Because
and also
it's a bit
mispronunciation.
stressful.
Like we're all speaking in our native language. I mean, like apologies that we're making you speak English. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, I learn a lot of things actually. You're a great source of vocabulary.
Oh, Jesus Christ! That's so
Okay, so let's go. So Sansa 7. Lancel arrives to tell Cersei that the battle is lost and that Tyrion is likely dead, while the Hound cannot be found. Furious, he tells her that the gold cloaks broke when they saw Joff leaving. He then begs her to leave the king in sight, but she orders Joffrey be brought inside Maegor's holdfast and the drawbridge raised, and she storms out of the room. So Sansa is left inside with the women panicking because Cersei left. She takes it upon herself to calm them down and goes to help Lancel, who has been left bleeding. She cannot really bring herself to wish him dead, although he is a Lannister, and she thinks it's stupid and weak, and she should want to kill him. Following Dante's advice, she then goes to her room. Once there, she decides to try and sleep and goes to her bed and has a thoughtful lady. A hand grabs her wrist, and in a flash of light, she sees him, a drunken, bloody and dark Hound, in his white cloak. He tells her that he is leaving, but that he came to claim the song she promised him. She refuses and asks him to leave, saying he's scaring her. Everything scares you, the Hound replies. I could keep you safe, he says, bringing her closer. Sansa thinks he will kiss her, and knowing she cannot fight him, closes her eyes, answers him only with silence. But nothing happens, and the hound shoves her down on the bed and demands his song, his dagger at her throat. She finally remembers one and sings it. After a moment of silence, the hound releases her, and instinct pushes her to cup his cheek. She can feel the blood, but also the wetness of his tears. "Little bird," the hound says one last time. She finally gets out of the bed and finds him gone, his white cloak on the floor. She crawls under it and waits for the night to pass. After a time, she hears bells ringing joyfully. St. Xanthos finally comes and tells her that the city is saved by Lord Tywin and the whole power of both Highgarden and Castle Rock. The vanguard was led by a mysterious knight. Against all logic, Sansa hopes it's Robb, but Xanthos tells her it was Renly, killing night after night in his green armor. And I'm done.
Good job.
That was excellent. I love it.
Can we just start with how naive Sansa is? Oh, was it Robb? What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, even me as a Sansa fan, I was like, girlfriend? No.
Yep.
But he's so
he
good at
joined
all
forces with Tywin Lannister. That's what he did.
It was Garland Tyrell, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Did we ever
Yeah.
find out whose plan that was?
I think it was Loris's.
I think it was Loras's, yes, but he couldn't wear the armor himself,
It
so
was too big.
his brother did it.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Do you guys think we have an example of the Seven listening to prayers here? Because we have Sansa singing this song, and it does stay his sword and soothe his wrath and tamed his fury.
Aww.
For the moment,
Yeah.
at least.
Oh.
Yes. And it was a nice going back to the Sansa chapter from last time, I think, where she has a thought for the hound as she's praying, and now she sings him the song, and so yes.
You guys, I think that you're making too much of this situation. It's essentially he gets second thoughts about raping her.
Thank you.
The song
Yeah.
saved her from his rape.
Yeah.
The mother.
And
I don't think he would.
when I
He
read
wasn't going
this,
to rape her. He wanted to protect her.
He's definitely being
Take her-
violent for sure.
Why did he
so rapey.
Why did he throw her to the bed and put a knife to her throat?
Yeah, that's
Even
that's
says
the
later
thing.
on, I should have fucked her bloody.
That's what you do when you're Tinder and you just, want to start a romance. Like, I heard, like,
Yeah.
the Sand thing
That's
before I read
foreplay.
this. Like, I'd heard about that, and I was like, oh, okay. And I got to the scene, I'm like, what is going on? Why are people, like, shipping this? Like, ugh.
Yeah,
That's
it's a bit creepy, I agree.
No, I go back and forth between this. I'm just like Sansa is bringing like light into his darkness, and in that sense, I'm like, oh, this is kind of romantic in a really creepy way. But then at the same time, he's throwing her to the bed and putting a knife to her throat, and that's disgusting.
That's, I mean, it's not a Magic Eye poster where if you look at it just right, it fits this, like, romantic view. Like,
Yeah,
but,
no, for sure it's rapey, right? And that is not ever condonable. But I think there's something about his relationship with Sansa isn't just about wanting her physically or because she's pretty and young, in the way that, I don't know, he could rape any, and probably has, any number of other women. There is something about her naivety which at first irritates him, but also fascinates him, and where he kind of wants to shake her out of it. So there's something
He wants
more
to protect her.
He wants
Yeah.
to both rape and protect her, which is fucked up.
Yeah.
Well, I think he wants to have. I think he
one
wants to have
doesn't-
intercourse with her, but I don't know as if he necessarily wants to take it.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know how else to act.
but whereas
Exactly.
with any other women, you're right, he would just, whatever.
Yeah,
But
because
yeah.
this is a guy who clearly could rape her if he wanted to, and presumably has done,
Do
to
you
many other
think
women.
It hadn't been for his brother, he would have been a good knight and a good person.
This is like Cersei, isn't it? How much is nature?
Yeah.
Much is nurture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I, I think he would have been a much better person. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that he would have been, the chivalrous knight, but he would have been not as cruel and not as violent, for sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
what even is a good person in the context of Westerosi patriarchy?
Sansa.
I don't know. I'm just, I
but-
sort of, I feel that I'm so
He hasn't had an
blinkered by the
opportunity
love of
yet.
Sand shipping that I probably can't even view the contents of this chapter with a straight eye. Because I just have my own like romantic vision of what's in like the whole rape thing. Like
Your
I don't know.
headcanon is just, like, out of control, sort of thing.
my headcanon is totally.
You're like an abused spouse where you're like, but he loves her.
Oh, God.
No, but I really do
Like,
think so. I
the
think
knife
there
was
are
made of
times when you get
tears.
so far into fanfic that it does mess with your view of the books, which is not good.
Yeah.
And what's actually
my-
going on.
My view of the situation is probably that he I don't know. Yeah, he probably went up there with the notion of taking her with him if she went willingly, like if she hoped that she felt the same or something like that, or wanted to go with him. But when she kind of didn't want to, he was trying to get what he really wanted, which was to get with her. But in the situation when she starts singing the Song of the Seven, that's when she proves to him that she truly is so pure and naive that it would probably be a shame to ruin her like that. Like not only shame, but it would be a terrible thing to do.
Like a desecration. I think you're
Yeah.
right, Patrick. My God, that's just so tragic. Never really thought of
Like
it
he
that way
doesn't,
before.
but like he doesn't realize it's a bad thing because it's a bad thing. He just realizes it's a bad thing because she's so pure. Is that what you're saying?
So pure, so beautiful that and I think that he thought, or maybe hoped, that it was kind of like a bit of a facade she had, but she's every single time she ended up convincing him that she truly is as pure and naive as she kind of gives everyone
Like
the
the
feeling of.
genuineness of her spirit swayed him. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. I think
It's weird though, isn't it? Because he saves her from rape in the mob scene, and yet then he wants to rape her. It's kind of, well, I don't know. No one will rape you but me.
No, it's
Well, that's kind of a common thing, I think, for people
Yeah.
too, right?
yeah, something like,
Like
the notion
that.
being planted in them about sexuality with stuff like that. So yeah, it happens. But yeah, I think essentially he's just got second guessed his thought and got swayed from it because she again acted as pure and virtuous as she could have in a situation.
Well, I do want to bring us back to a point where I think I've said this on 3 different podcasts now, where Joffrey's ordering people to beat Sansa and they rip off all her clothes, and the Hound actually puts over his white cloak. So I think in some strange sense, he's trying to show her that she can't be this naive in this world. But then when she finally shows him some affection, he just runs away from it, and it's kind of sad.
I mean, let's not forget he's very drunk at this point and
Yeah.
fire crazed as well.
Not saying like any of this is an excuse for his behavior. Like he's an absolute
Of course
horror.
not. Yeah, absolutely.
Horrible
The knife to the
person.
throat is just PTSD. You can't even take that as part of his character.
Oh,
No. So
I'm not condoning any of it. Before I go, can I quickly ask a question cheekily? If you think the Hound's coming back in the books, which I hope he's not, but probably will be, what do you think the meeting between the Hound and Sansa, if it happens, plays out as? Not that I haven't thought about this a lot.
depends
Hello.
I think it depends if he gets if he redeems himself, essentially. If he has ended up redeeming himself in any situation, I think he would be able to face her. Otherwise, I think he is kind of ashamed enough that he wouldn't want to have this meeting.
But even if there is a meeting, like the only thing I know for sure is that he's not going to be in a position of power. Like he's not going to be the one in charge of whatever's going on, and not necessarily saying that Sansa would be, but he's not going to be the one, alone in the room with a knife or anything like that.
No, definitely not. But I'm thinking if they had to talk, if they ended up in a situation where they had a possibility of talking together, I think that if he hadn't received any redemption, if he still felt that he hadn't done enough to redeem himself, I think he would probably still feel ashamed and not maybe even try to avoid the confrontation. Whilst if he's actually come to terms with what he's done and maybe even gotten some redemption, I think it might be more of a situation where he's actually trying to apologize or trying to.
But there's an irony here, isn't there? Because what you're saying, which I kind of agree with, is that I think in his mind, unless he can live up to that image of being the true knight, he won't put himself in front of her. But by the time they eventually meet, she might have, per the earlier discussion, have become less naive and more cynical and a better political player and not be that person who needs or wants a true knight anymore or values it. So it could be this awful kind of they cross paths and he's become what the younger her wanted, and now she kind of doesn't feel that way anymore, which would be horrible.
I think I'm gonna stand by what I've been saying for a couple of episodes now, or that I think they'll meet again in the Quiet Isle, and I think that, assuming that the Hound is the gravedigger, I think that he is so broken, and I think by the time that Sansa will get there, she will be so broken that they'll just end up being together, and I don't think they'll even realize who each other are. And
I don't think you could not notice who the Hound
is. Well, maybe.
You look just like this guy I sang a song for one time.
In the dark.
There's the guy that could really use to learn how to change his face.
Yeah.
Hound is a faceless man, confirmed.
He's half a faceless man.
Yeah. He only went halfway through his training.
He's Dario's twin brother.
Anybody else have any thoughts on if you think that Sansa and the Hound will meet up again?
I don't know how it would work out. I could see it as like maybe her and like you were talking about, like her being in position of power. Maybe she can pardon him or something for something he's done. But I don't really know how they would meet up again.
Yeah, I've never could work it out.
I think that whatever the situation, it will still be weird and creepy, and maybe not creepy because maybe you won't be the same guy, but she will still be like 20 years younger than him, and it would still be a weird relationship.
He's just going to be her Jara.
Yeah.
Isn't Bookhound in his late 20s though?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's maybe more 15.
Might even be in his early 20s.
She's like 12 and...
No, late 20s.
Is it late?
So like 15 years.
Yeah, but
Still.
I think that... I don't think that Sansa actually realizes, but yeah, I think maybe Sandor is her like first true crush in a sense, or maybe not a crush, but like she has feelings for him without even knowing it, and it's pretty damn hard to shake that. In essence, the first love, right?
I don't know as if she has feelings for him.
Yeah,
but she does think. She thinks back at on him like with warm and tender feelings, right?
Yeah, but she does for Tyrion too. I mean, when she prays for the Hound, she also has a prayer for Tyrion, and I think she's just really nice. She just sees that he's not in a good place, and she wants him to get better and not get killed. But I don't think she actually loves him. I mean, even without knowing it, she's 12.
And she prays to the Seven, and then when he's about to die, somebody who is like a preacher for the Seven finds him and saves his life. Just weird, guys.
Stop doing.
Seven's for real. The Seven's for real.
Don't do that, Ryan. Please, let's not try to make something in there where there's no real evidence for.
I am laying on the evidence.
I would like to say that White Raven's onto something.
I would say no. I would say that the Seven is like probably the only religion that doesn't have any like real evidence of existing like outside the minds of people.
I just gave you two examples.
Yeah.
You choose to not see them. That's fine.
I mean, I'm usually on the bandwagon of magic and religion, but this is too far.
Okay.
Well, hasn't George said in a quote that all religions exist, but it's not really what they're necessarily talking about, like, exactly?
Religion is a way to explain the magic of the world. I just used hand quotation marks. Did you all see those?
Yeah, I saw.
I felt it.
Well.
All right. So, any more thoughts on magic?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
It's
I guess
real, all of it.
You think that every single notion about religion and its miracles is real. There's no elaboration or anything on it. No.
Oh, no, I definitely don't. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that people are trying to explain things through their separate religions, but they all encompass one thing, and there's parts of each one that might be accurate and parts that are not.
Yeah, like your religion might describe gravity, but gravity just is. No,
but to be serious, is like the only religion that seems to display any sort of like that we experience on firsthand, or maybe two, if you also count the old gods. But the only
Why
other,
wouldn't you?
Because it's essentially not a religion. It's more like a set of beliefs, not a religion per se.
All right.
I mean, you don't have specific traditions and like rituals that you have to go through and stuff like that. It's not as
You got to carve the faces in the tree.
you have to go to a special altar. But I mean, there's a lot of things that you call superstitions or mythology that essentially makes the same thing. Would you say that? Well, now you can say, but a lot of people have said for a long while that, like the Greek gods or the Nordic gods were just superstition or myth instead, mythology. But so I would say that probably the old gods are the same thing.
I disagree with you.
You would disagree? How?
Odin.
Yeah, Odin Allfather. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what you're disagreeing about.
Oh, you don't know Odin? I'm sorry. I thought you guys all knew Odin.
No, but I'm saying that the definition of what people outside. Okay, so you don't. You just messing with me.
What did I do? I'm not saying anything.
I didn't say anything about you, Casey.
Oh,
He said
nobody.
KC. Yeah. So.
Yeah,
Nobody
okay,
asked you,
see.
Casey.
Casey, no.
Guys, I thought Odin was just an alien. He's an ancient alien.
He lives on a floating planet.
oh, ancient aliens, though.
Don't we live on a floating planet?
Okay, so any point, I mean, any situation, is it truly a religion, the old gods, in your opinion?
I believe it's a religion.
It's a religion.
Okay, so with the church and with some sort of...
It's not dogmatic in the way that we think of it, but I mean, we have a lot of things that I think will qualify as religion that don't have that same structure, that are like more, individually adherent as opposed to a larger organized system.
I'm just asking which one, because usually all of the faiths that are defined as religions have certain things like a...
Well, but like, I don't know, like there are people that practice like, Wiccan and stuff like that. And I mean, there are even, people that you would call themselves practicing Christians or, various religions that don't necessarily belong to any particular church or, organization or anything like that. Mm. So, I mean, most of them do. That's kind of the way it works, because religions tend to be our social currency.
They have a God's wood, and they go there to pray, and I don't see how it's not religion.
Yeah.
They just don't meet like once a week, or
they're not
have someone who's like the head religious guy, or they just don't do that. But that doesn't necessarily, that's not required to be.
Is it because you've seen their quote unquote deity that it makes you doubt whether or not it's a religion and more like a trick?
I mean,
because our religion's kind of a trick.
So my thought is just, yes, maybe there's a bit of me seeing a blood raven that kind of alludes me to, but not for the reasons that you think. More that if he's only been there for like 150 years, what was there before? Who was the old gods before?
I'm sure it was somebody else and somebody before that. I mean, it's like a tree network, and they can look back into the past and see things that have happened. So they're kind of older than what they seem because they can see what has happened before. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, but I just don't. Well, it could be very.
Have you ever seen Avatar?
The cartoon or the movie?
The movie.
The movie. They have a tree network that people can like link into, and they can experience other people
tails.
Through there.
They put their tails into the USB port,
which is also their genitalia.
Yeah, so they're actually fucking trees. That's another point. But my notion in that specific, if you want to use that, they don't necessarily go back in time to communicate with other people, and it doesn't even seem like Blood Raven is able to do that. He doesn't seem like he's. I think it seems more like it's actually Bran that has this special power to do that.
Perhaps that's why the blood gods, the old gods, have gotten so weak, because they haven't had someone that was strong enough to do all the things that they used to be able to do.
Yeah, maybe we're reading too much into this.
Maybe. I don't know.
Why else are we here, man?
Yeah, why are we here?
I mean, yeah, I'd love to have a religion cast about this stuff, but I think this is not really we don't have the time to go completely into all the theories about.
But like, even just within the world, like whether or not they consider it kind of a religion, I guess is, I don't know, because some people that adhere to the old gods do and some don't. in a way, right?
Well, I think that the World Book is a good reference to showing how many religions, and even the chapters with the House in Black and White, they show all the different religions that are practiced in Planetos. So I think that there's just a lot, and I think that I remember George, I don't remember where and when he said it, but I remember reading something about him saying that all specific religions may not be the most accurate, but that something else is going on that they're relating it to. And I think that's the ultimate thing that we're supposed to get from these different religions.
So it's a power of wish. That's actually not a specific god, but more like an ancient power of magic that transcends rituals and whatever. Just maybe even the power of the will of humans and whatever that is making things happen.
I mean, they're ultimately just trying to explain the unknown.
Maybe, but because there are miracles. Like you can't say that reviving what's he called? What's he called? Dondarrion.
The
lightning lord. You can't say that wasn't a miracle. He got his head caved in and stuff like that. It's
considered a miracle because they don't understand it, and that's why they're using the red god. What we're saying is the red god is just something that we don't understand, so they call a red god. Like they make it into a religion because they don't understand it, and they can't quantify why it happens.
But whether it's magic or a celestial miracle is still the same point. There's something extraordinary that you can't say that anything else that wouldn't happen in real life. Essentially, you couldn't just say, "Get up, you bitch."
Oh, no.
You didn't need that eye anyway. Let's go.
Essentially, that's what my point. That if it's magic, that's it, one thing, but it doesn't really change the point that it's still something extraordinary that you can't deny happened.
It is extraordinary, and we don't understand how it happened, but that doesn't mean there's not a science behind it.
I think that we have delved into this a lot and that we should probably move on.
Sounds good.
A note from Bina. So counterfactual history, what would have happened if Sansa had left with the Hound? Basically, if she fled the Red Keep with the Hound, like if she left.
He would have had a massive target on his back. He might have died sooner because she's more recognizable than Arya.
I think he would have had a harder time with her than he did with Arya, which is saying a lot. But just because she doesn't have the ability to go on the road and survive without him,
I agree. Do
Maybe
you think that she would have met up with Arya?
Like if they were together?
If Sansa was with the Hound, do you think that the Hound still would have met Arya and the three of them or the two of them would have reunited?
I think so. Because the Hound was going to find Robb and offer up his sword, so why would Sansa have changed that?
That's true. No, I just find it really interesting.
They might have moved a little slower.
I just find that interesting because I don't think Sansa and Arya will probably ever meet again, or maybe if they do, I think they'll be completely I don't think Sansa will recognize her.
You think one of them's going to die before they get that opportunity? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, I think that because Arya is being trained to be a faceless person, then would Sansa even recognize her meeting Arya? And is Arya so far gone and that she wouldn't even recognize Sansa as well?
I feel like if they both live to be 100, at some point they're going to meet each other again. Like
if they both,
I feel like if they
100.
die, that's when they're not going to end up.
If they die, they won't meet again. Yeah, that's not even for certain, man.
They might never die.
In the afterlife.
They'll meet off book after Dream of Spring when we don't read it.
In the prologue. Oh, and at some point, Arya and Sansa met, and they had dinner, and that was the end of it.
Yeah, it's going to be a footnote in the George Silmarillion.
Yeah.
By the way, they got together.
They went to the Undying Lands together.
I don't think Sandor would have been able to get through the gate, even with his sword, if he had Sansa with him.
Yes, I agree. I'm not sure you would have been able to leave, yes.
I don't know, maybe. I mean, he's pretty formidable. I mean, you probably just say that, let me through.
But I'm assuming they have bows and arrows. They would have shot the shit out of him. He wouldn't have just walked right through.
No, but he would probably have just acted like he was allowed to get through, right?
I don't think they would have let him take Sansa out of the castle.
No.
I mean, by that point, the gold cloaks had been leaving their positions. Maybe he just walked right through and there was nobody there.
I mean, how did he get out anyways? If it wasn't because he probably
said, "Get out of my fucking way, I'll smash your face in."
Exactly. And if he just put a cloak over Sansa and not let them check who she is, I think they were just let him pass and saying, well, that's not my problem.
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. I don't think that would be the biggest problem. I think that.
Well, he would have had to wait for her to pack, which means Tywin would have already been there by the time she got ready to go.
And if Sandor took Sansa, how would that affect Catelyn? Because would she still release Jaime then? Because surely news would get to her that they'd quote unquote lost Sansa.
I don't think they would have told her they lost Sansa.
Yeah,
but word still gets around. Maybe not directly.
Well, they don't know that Arya's definitely gone.
Yeah, they think that Arya's still there.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
I don't know if they think that, but they don't have any reason not to think that. Like she's even said, well, who knows what happened with Arya?
Okay, so I think that's exactly the point. That right now Arya's gone, and from when the Hound escapes King's Landing and he's captured by the Brotherhood without banners, I don't think that's actually that long a time, or we will find out soon enough. But the point is that if he then goes about trying to travel with her and he happens upon the Brotherhood without banners again, he would end up having the same situation where they would probably take Sansa off his hands, and he would, if he then at some point got hold of her again, he would try to get her and maybe Arya to Mother. That would still be too late. If everything would have happened anyways. I don't think he would necessarily run around the Riverland saying, I have both Arya and Sansa. Hey, everybody.
I don't know if he would have been as drunk as he was. Like, they caught him, he was, like, drunk and stumbling and stuff. That's how the houndsman guy there caught him. I don't know if he would have been drunk if he was escorting Sansa across. I mean, I'm sure he would have drank, but I don't think he would have ever been drunk so he couldn't defend himself.
Probably not.
I'm not saying they wouldn't have caught him, but I think it would have gone down differently.
Maybe. But
and
yeah,
then Arya would have met Sansa again, and they would have hugged, and they'd be like, "Oh my God, what have you been through?" And they'd be like, "A lot."
Oh, so sad.
Oh,
and
what
then
about
Sansa's like, "Stay with me," and Arya's like, "No, I want to go with them." So they would have broken back up again, and the Hound would have just stole Sansa because he doesn't care about Arya.
Mm.
Do you think that's what happened? I
don't think they would have kept them together necessarily, because Arya wanted to like be with the group, like she didn't want to leave them. Whereas Sansa, I feel like she would have been okay with just being set up at a castle somewhere.
Maybe.
Well, except Arya did leave the group. I mean, kind of. That's why she got taken by the Hound eventually. She ran off. And
she got kidnapped by the Hound.
Yeah, but she left them first.
But she left them. I mean, she
Right. She ended up leaving them because they weren't going to do what she wanted to do.
Yeah, she would have probably come back anyway, but the Hound was there in the meantime, and I don't think that would have happened if Sansa had been around too. I don't know, but at least I mean, she didn't exactly want to stay with the team and keep doing whatever they were doing.
Well, when it comes down to it, I don't think the Hound wanted Arya. It was because they stole his money that he went and got her.
Yeah, because wasn't he just going to drop her off at Catelyn and then get the money from that?
And offer his sword up.
Yeah.
Offer to kill his brother.
All right, does anybody else have anything more on Sansa 7?
Am I the only person who thought that then he was back as a zombie when I first read this?
Sandor?
No, Renly.
Oh, the whole Renly's armor.
Oh, Renly. Oh, no?
Yeah, I was actually confused when I first read that.
Yeah, I was really confused by it.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe I thought that they probably just saved his life and then just kept it quiet so they could like have a comeback.
But no, somebody else was faking to be Renly, right? That's the whole thing. Are we talking about how at the end of the chapter they say that Renly saved the castle or something like that? Well, it's not actually Renly.
No.
Right.
But we don't know that yet.
What he's saying is, because we don't know it was Garland, did somebody think it was actually Renly's shade or a zombie Renly?
Or just revived Renly? Like
just when you were reading it?
Renly.
I didn't know what it was. I didn't think it was like Loras. Yeah, I thought maybe it was like I don't know. It was something weird. I didn't think it was the revived
Good
Renly,
analysis.
but I don't know. I thought it could have been something magic because we just had like the shadow baby and stuff. So, but I didn't know.
Maybe shadow babies are less permanent in their assassination.
They captured the shadow baby and forced it to serve in Renly's armor.
Yeah.
It's a deeply guarded military secret. That's why they blamed it all on Kat and Brienne.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't really think too much of it. I think I was just reading through pretty quickly and was like, oh, that's probably not Renly. But yeah, anything else about Sansa 7?
Tywin sure knows how to negotiate a deal.
It's ranked pretty low on the chapter average rating on Tower of the Hand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like rank 66 out of 70.
Oh, wow.
Wait, what? 66 out of 70?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Why is that low?
that's the lowest. I mean, the first rank 1 out of 70 is best,
Yeah,
right?
it ranks out of.
It's not a grade,
it's
a...
Okay, I got you. Never mind.
Too much moon talker.
Bigger is better. That's totally American, right?
Yeah. Of course. When I'm looking back at like my first read through, I don't really remember reading the Tyrion chapter, but I do remember reading this chapter a lot more. You know, personal experience, I guess, and being a Sansa fan. I disagree with the rating.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. It's Tyrion 14.
What's number one?
Number 1, I don't know actually. I don't think I have a way of checking without.
It could be Davos 3.
Davos 3?
What?
Yeah.
Are you serious? It was Devil's 3?
Oh, so we just did that.
No,
one.
it's not. Devil
I think-
3 is 21.
Yeah, I don't think that's right. It's a good question. I mean, I don't know. It's. I don't think there's actually a way of knowing because
Check House of the Undying. Which chapter is that?
Oh, yeah, like Danny. What is it? 4?
Daddy 5.
Yeah.
Are you a Glenn? Do you have like a eidetic memory?
What? Me? No.
I mean, there's only 5 Danny chapters in A Clash of Kings.
Yes,
Yeah,
so
the
it's
fifth
4.
one is-
It's 4. So I was
It's
I
4,
was right.
yeah.
It's 4.
I
I'm
was
going
right.
to the... Yes, it's the one.
Yeah, because you can list these chapters on the Tower of the Hand by ranking, by the way.
Okay.
So it's Danny 4, and then the next one is Davos 2, which is also a good one. Probably because a lot of events happen in those chapters that are pretty important or imperative to the storyline and plotline. All right, but Sansa 7, anything else?
I think it's Sansa 7, and she prays to the 7, and her wish comes true. Yes.
Oh, Brett, you're great. All right, so I guess I'll close out then. So thanks for everybody for listening. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, the A Podcast of Ice and Fire forums, YouTube, and iTunes. Does anybody else have any other podcasts that are coming out that they want to talk about briefly?
Yeah, I'm gonna get that second part of that Hobbit out one day.
One day.
Yeah.
It's a Star Wars podcast, but I don't know if it's...
Yeah. I edited that podcast like a week after we did it, and then my computer bricked on me at the end, and for some reason none of my saves were saved at the restore point, so I lost it all, and I have not had the heart to go back and edit it.
I know the
Yeah.
feels. I know the feels.
Sad Adam.
Anybody else have anything coming out in the near future besides, I hope that part 29 will be out before this.
Well,
Come
that
on,
has to be.
Katie.
we don't publish them out of order.
Well, I have a couple on my
It'll be out
plate.
tomorrow. It'll be out tomorrow.
That's good.
I'm also thinking about if I can get hold of what's it called, Wargasm again. I'm thinking about posting some of our role playing sessions with silence and
That'd be cool. I haven't heard from him. I tried messaging him a couple times and
Sadly.
It seems like he does that, and then he'll show back up soon.
I hope
It's about
so.
time, right?
It's like every 6 months, right?
If he comes back to finish the storyline that we're doing right now, then I'll probably publish that.
All right.
So maybe
Cool.
some Song of Ice and Fire role playing for you guys.
There's some pretty cool people on that one, I heard.
Yeah, that sounds like it was really cool, actually.
Yeah,
he was splitting time with another podcast at the time, I heard.
yeah, it's true.
All right, so I guess that's a wrap. Goodbye and thanks for listening.
Great
Sure.
job, Casey. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
guys.
Thank you, Casey.
Thanks.
Where's the podcast bard when we need him?
Blackwater, kablam-a-lam. Ooh, Blackwater, kablam-a-lam. The M-stock pipe, kablam-a-lam. That fire so wild, kablam-a-lam. He pulled that chain, kablam-a-lam. Wildfire did rain, kablam-a-lam. Ooh, Blackwater, kablam-a-lam. Ooh, Blackwater, kablam-a-lam. Oh, Blackwater, kablam-a-lam. Oh, Blackwater, kablam-a-lam. Now Tyrion dead, kablam-a-lam. When the hand round skid, kablam-a-lam. But some man done more, kablam-a-lam. Left his nose on the floor, kablam-a-lam. Oh, Blackwater, kablam-a-lam. Oh, Blackwater, kablam-a-lam. Kaboom! Oh, Blackwater, kablam-a-lam. Oh, Blackwater, kablam-a-lam. Stan's attack was doomed, kablam-a-lam. When the Hulk went boom, kablam-a-lam. His fleet is a pie, kablam-a-lam. And the river's on fire, kablam-a-lam. Oh, Blackwater, kablam-a-lam. Oh, Blackwater, kablam-a-lam. Yeah! Wildfire, baby.